Take a look at this CCTV footage. January 7, 2022, in Hobbs, New Mexico, at roughly 2 p.m., a white sedan drives in, parking in front of the dumpsters behind Broadmoor Shopping Center. A young teen exits the car and tosses a small but unusually heavy bag before driving away. At first glance, this looks like a seemingly ordinary garbage drop-off, but what was inside that black bag would land her in the center of a police investigation and expose her disturbing secret.
So, obviously, you're 18 years of age, you know right from wrong, right?
Right.
Okay.
Hours later, at 7:38 p.m., 3 dumpster divers, Michael, Hector, and April, were searching for scrap metal when they found that same black bag. But this was something no one was ever meant to see. They heard a faint whining sound coming from the garbage bag. At first, they thought it was a kitten, but as they opened the bag, a human, a newborn baby to be exact, wrapped in a trash bag. Of course, what the dumpster divers had stumbled upon was more than a miracle. It was a crime scene. They immediately called for help.
Hello, 911.
Yes, we just found a baby in the trash.
Can you tell me about the baby?
The discovery of the newborn baby in a dumpster sparked outrage and a desperate search for answers. How could a mother leave her child in that condition? The police focused on the CCTV footage from earlier that day, which led them to 18-year-old Alexis Avila. She was brought in for interrogation, where her answers seemed almost rehearsed.
So, obviously I got confirmation that you were pregnant, okay? Right.
I found that out yesterday.
Yes, she insisted she was completely unaware of her pregnancy until the day before giving birth, attributing her physical discomfort to back pain and constipation. She even detailed a visit to a clinic, where she claimed she received the shocking news.
I went to the clinic and they did a urine sample and they told me I was pregnant, and that's when I found out.
But while her story seemed believable at first, it was about to fall apart. See, the people who knew Alexis told a different story. One user alleged, "I live in the town this happened in. She knew. Everyone she went to school with knew. She thought she could bat her eyes at the cops and walk away. Pure evil." And sure enough, when the detective pressed her, the truth came out.
So you knew back when is this? What are we talking about?
August.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit before that. Well, I took 2. One was positive, one was negative. I took the negative, I didn't.
But police still needed answers to one question. What happened on January 7, 2022, the day Alexis Avila gave birth to her son? With her lies crumbling down around her, Alexis began to recount the events of that day. Alexis explained that she had been experiencing stomach pain and unexpectedly gave birth.
So obviously you gave birth to a child.
Right.
I'm trying to find out where it happened, how it happened, or what led to that and stuff like that.
I went to sleep and then I woke up and I went to the restroom and I was just trying, and then it came out and I thought it was poop, and then it wasn't.
Okay. So you were aware?
I was in a panic. I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I was scared. I drove around and I didn't know what to do, and I just put it in there.
However, to internet users, the camera footage showing her cold and calculated actions contradicted her panicked claims in the interrogation room. And while Alexis seemed to plead for understanding,
I was in a panic. I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I was scared.
it was impossible for investigators to ignore the way she discarded her child. And when she was pressed for details, her responses became even more disturbing, revealing a seeming lack of remorse.
In a panic. I just turned 18.
Right.
It's not like I've been 18 forever.
Exactly.
Did you catch that? Alexis smiled as she used her age to excuse wrapping her newborn in a trash bag. In fact, Alexis smiles multiple times throughout the interrogation, especially when defending her actions. So, were these smiles simply nerves, or something more sinister? Well, combined with the minimization of her actions and the detachment from what she had done, the internet believed these grins were suggestive of one thing: guilt. And someone had a theory about this. Duping delight. People tend to smile when they think they're fooling someone. As for others, they just couldn't understand why a trash can was even a solution. I was a teen mom, in a bad situation and terrified. I didn't do this. I can't sympathize, understand, or forgive this girl. She is 18. A 3-year-old would know to not throw a baby in trash, leading people to call Alexis a monster that should be prevented from getting pregnant ever again. But what drove Alexis to such a desperate act? In the interrogation room, she offered a potential motive: fear of her mother's reaction.
I just left it where it was, and I was scared, and I was trying to call my mom, but I couldn't because I was so scared. I think she's gonna hate me.
She appeared convinced her mother's response would be anger, not comfort.
What made you think that?
Just because I just turned 18. I haven't been 18 for a month, and I'm the baby.
Yes, Alexis repeatedly referenced her recent entry into adulthood as an excuse for her actions.
Just turned 18. I haven't been 18 for a month.
Right.
I just turned 18.
Right.
It's not like I've been 18 forever.
Exactly.
I panic when I just turned 18.
But despite her alleged fear of how her mother would react, she later requested her mother's presence.
Maybe my mom could take me somewhere. And my mom's coming here and they're gone.
But it wasn't just this inconsistency that left viewers with goosebumps. See, throughout the interrogation, Alexis never referred to her newborn son as him. Instead, she called the baby it.
And I just wrapped it in a towel.
Okay.
The way she spoke about the baby was cold and distant. It was like she was talking about a thing, not a child, and yet she insisted.
If the baby's okay, I want it.
This chilling statement that she wanted her son back only if he was okay sparked outrage. That's the most offensive thing she could possibly have said. She has no right to even say something like that. That line really pissed me off. She doesn't even recognize the baby as a person. I wanted nothing more than for the cop to say you will never see the baby again and you deserve nothing. That officially broke my heart. The conflicting statements, the unfeeling language, the seeming lack of remorse. It all pointed to something far more complex than simple panic. But now that the investigators had gathered their evidence, it was time for the legal system to take over. Alexis Avila was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder and child abuse. But it was what happened next that left the public stunned.
Breaking news tonight, an 18-year-old Hobbs woman accused of throwing her baby in a dumpster over the weekend will stay under house arrest until her trial.
Yes, Judge William Shoebridge made the controversial decision to allow Alexis Avila to await trial from the comfort of her own home. Yet while this meant she wouldn't be behind bars, she was hardly free. The conditions of Alexis's release were strict. She was only allowed out of the home for essential activities like school, work, counseling, and medical appointments. Out-of-state travel was banned. She was forbidden from contacting any males outside her immediate family. And most importantly, she was prohibited from seeing her own child, the very child she was accused of trying to kill. News of this decision spread quickly, sparking immediate and intense reactions. Alexis Avila's defense team was satisfied.
We're grateful for the court's decision
And pleaded for the compassion for the community. Alexis is barely 18 herself. Whatever happened is already a tragedy for her family and the community. Alexis's attorney, Ibukun Adepoju, said in a statement, "As humans, we should practice compassion as we wait for the justice system to work." But compassion wasn't what the public felt. Not when they saw Alexis's release as a complete injustice. The community demanded answers.
In the court of public opinion, there's only one place Avila should be, and that's behind bars.
I feel like the judge ruled wrong. I feel like the defense attorney's argument was flawed. We got a girl who left her child for dead and threw it in the trash can.
Online, the comments were just as ruthless. WTF is wrong with that judge. In doing this, he's actually sympathizing with a child. And instead of holding her accountable for her horrible actions, he gave her a slap on the wrist, and mommy and daddy bailing her out are just as guilty as she is. People who commit robberies get more prison time than this. Unacceptable. Decisions like these send the message it's not too bad to keep doing what she did. What a clown judge. Still, the investigation remained ongoing. Police interviewed the boy who they believed to be the baby's father, 16-year-old Stephen Astorga. He claimed he was completely unaware of the pregnancy and believed Alexis when she allegedly told him she miscarried. Alexis's mother also confirmed she had no knowledge of her daughter's condition. 2 years later, the stage was finally set. The trial of Alexis Avila was about to begin. But would the courtroom offer the answers the public so desperately sought? The prosecution laid out their case, piece by piece. But the most chilling details came from the medical professionals who fought to save the newborn's life. After the baby boy was found, he was rushed to a Hobbs hospital before being transferred to a more advanced NICU in Lubbock. He received a blood transfusion, was placed on a feeding tube, and given oxygen. Every resource was used in a desperate attempt to save his life. But incredibly, he survived. However, during the trial, the defense made a shocking attempt to downplay the severity of his condition, suggesting he was in good health after being discarded. Naturally, this sparked outrage. It's sad that in a fair judicial court, the doctors and nurses who save lives have to feel like they are being questioned in a criminal case. God bless these amazing people who save those that could not save themselves. Adding another layer of controversy, the defense focused on Alexis's mental health, claiming she may have been experiencing symptoms of bipolar disorder since she was 14 or 15.
Well, pregnancy comes with a lot of hormonal changes. And so pregnancy can kind of emphasize mood swings. So in a person like her that already has kind of this predisposition or has these early symptoms of it, the hormonal changes associated with pregnancy are going to be amplified because they're going to interact with that underlying condition.
This strategy also drew sharp criticism. Her attorney made everyone with mental health issues look bad. I have bipolar depression and disassociate, only treated this past year. I'm almost 36. I've never once felt the need to harm anyone. It's BS that they tried to use her bipolar 1 and ADD diagnosis as part of her reason. I have bipolar 2 and ADHD among a couple other diagnoses, and I would never dream of doing something so horrid to my 2 kids. But the excuses Alexis's legal team offered were nothing compared to what Alexis had to say for herself. On the witness stand, Alexis claimed she blacked out on January 7th. That's right. She insisted she had no memory of giving birth or even of the interrogation.
When she told you you were pregnant, what did you think at the time?
I'm not sure. I kind of blacked out.
What else did she tell you?
Oh, I don't remember.
Why don't you remember?
Because I blacked out.
But was the amnesia genuine or selective? It wasn't long before the public began to poke holes in Alexis's testimony. After all, when she was asked what she did after the alleged blackout, her memory suddenly became remarkably clear.
I think I went to work.
Before you went to work, before you left the doctor, did they give you any information as to what to do next, anything like that?
No, ma'am. They just told me to stop taking the medication that the hospital provided me with.
Okay, so you remember that part?
Yes.
Yes, Alexis remembered going to work and the doctor's instructions, but the central event, the birth of her child, remained a blank. This pattern continued throughout her testimony, as she repeatedly told the court.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
The public, however, was certain Alexis's amnesia was just another convenient excuse. Her memory and blackouts are amazingly selective. You can see in her facial expressions and reactions that she's showing no remorse, just trying to get herself to the lowest charge she can. So absolutely sickening watching this thing swivel in her chair, pretending she doesn't remember. She remembers everything. She knows what she did was wrong, but doesn't want to take responsibility or pay for her crime. The prosecution also emphasized the suspicious timing of these alleged blackouts.
But what we do know is that it's really convenient that Alexis Avila only blacks out what she's told on the 6th with the nurse. It's really convenient that she only blacks out what happened to her after she had that baby.
Have you ever been blacked out?
Well, we're asking you the questions, ma'am. You're the one that threw the baby into the dumpster.
Prosecution even took jabs at Alexis for her forgetfulness.
Are you left-handed or right-handed, or have you forgotten?
After 4 days of trial, the jury reached a verdict on April 14, 2023.
We find the defendant, Alexis Nicole Avila, guilty of attempt to commit first-degree murder as charged in count 1, signed by the foreperson.
And it was following this verdict, along with another guilty verdict for child abuse, that Alexis showed emotion for the first time. However, for viewers, the tears had come too late. Now she's crying for herself, but didn't cry for her own baby she wanted to kill. Shaking my head. Disgusting. About 2 weeks later, on May 1st, 2023, Alexis's sentencing took place. The prosecution argued she prioritized herself above all else, and the evidence pointed to a clear intent to harm, neglect, and kill.
Your Honor, what we see here is a pattern of someone who not only is not showing remorse, but someone who, in fact, takes deliberate steps in her own recollection of this event to minimize her own role in something that was manifest and clear in the video, which was that she was attempting to kill the most innocent life, the most helpless life of her own child.
The prosecution pointed to Alexis's calm demeanor in the CCTV footage, arguing it showed just how calculated the crime had been. Even the baby's own father, Stephen Astorga, delivered a powerful statement.
We'll never forgive or forget what happened January 7th. If it weren't for those three angels that evening, we would be here for different reasons.
But the defense stuck to their argument that Alexis's actions were driven by a previously undiagnosed mental health disorder and pleaded for leniency.
Your Honor, we are asking that the sentence in this matter be mitigated to the full extent that the court is able to, which is 6 years. And we are asking the court to consider the factors of Alexis's characteristics, her past conduct, her age, her health, any events surrounding this crime, the pattern of conduct indicating that whether or not she poses serious threat to the society, and the possibility of rehabilitation.
Alexis's parents also spoke, describing a loving upbringing and insisting their daughter was not in her right mind. They expressed a desperate hope for a future reunion with their grandson.
Your Honor, I can promise you that if me or her mom ever even had a clue that she was pregnant, we would never be in this situation. We have 6 other grandchildren that we love very much, and baby Saul is no exception. Your Honor, I ask of you that you please have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
Allow her the opportunity to continue to be a continuing, contributing member in society, and most importantly, to one day be able to fulfill her motherhood role and be part of her baby's life.
And then, Alexis herself spoke.
I regret that I had to miss out on every first milestone the baby had and that I deprived him of motherly love. I regret that his first hours of life were traumatic, and I regret that he will always have this in the back of his head and will think I do not love him because that's what he'll read and hear, but that's not true at all. I do love him. I truly do.
The courtroom held its breath as the potential sentence loomed, 18 years. But in the end, Judge Shoebridge, acknowledging Alexis's young age, lack of prior record, and undiagnosed mental illness, chose a lesser sentence.
As to the crime of abuse of a child resulting in great bodily harm, a first-degree felony, I sentence you to 18 years followed by 2 years parole. I'm going to suspend 2 years. So you do 16 years in the Department of Corrections.
Still, Judge Shoebridge noted that even with good behavior, Alexis could only shave 4 days off her sentence per month. The judge described Alexis's crime as an unforgivable event by any mother. He added that had it not been for the miracle of the dumpster divers, Alexis would be facing much harsher charges.
To toss one's own child into a dumpster like trash is something that it is an unforgivable event by any mother. Your child, I do agree, was very vulnerable, but for the grace of God and the happenstance of the 3 dumpster divers that found your child, we certainly would be here sentence you on a murder case as opposed to where you are.
And while Alexis would be receiving 16 years behind bars rather than 18 years, the judge assured her that the punishment for her crime would be unending.
You've given yourself a life sentence of knowing what you did with your child.
Lee County District Attorney Deanna Luce praised the sentence, saying it was justice for baby boy in a press release. We are thankful that the court found that this especially heinous crime was a serious violent offense and that the defendant will receive a just punishment for committing this crime against an innocent newborn. This sentence is a warning to all who will try to kill innocent children that you will be held accountable. Still, Debate over the sentencing exposed a divide in public opinion. Some were satisfied with the 16 years Alexis would be serving. The judge showed some mercy, showed he cared, and gave a fair sentence. Others were skeptical over whether jail time was the solution. I don't agree with this. Lengthy prison sentences are not a deterrent in these cases and accomplish nothing. Her youthful age and lack of previous criminality make me feel that a sentence of more than 10 years is overboard. She needs mental help. Prison doesn't fix mental issues, it creates more as they all get abused. And then there were those who believed the consequences to the crime should have been more extreme. She deserved longer, at least 25 years if not life. She left that baby to I don't care how young she is or what mental issues she has. She knew better. Wow. 16 years for attempted murder of a newborn child. The judicial system for certain people is disgusting. Only 16 years? Good behavior? Seriously? But as Alexis serves her sentence, one question remains. What happened to the baby? Well, the brave little boy, now named Saul, which means asked for, prayed for, is thriving. He lives with his father, Stephen Astorga, and is happy, healthy, and surrounded by love. But Saul's story has become more than just his own. In the wake of this case, lawmakers approved a bill to expand New Mexico's Safe Haven program, providing funds to build baby boxes across the state. These boxes offer a safe, anonymous way for parents in crisis to surrender their newborns, no questions asked. And just a year and a half later, one of these boxes was used for the first time. A newborn boy was safely surrendered at a Hobbs fire station. Still, the shadow of what happened lingers, and while Saul's story is ultimately one of hope, it also serves as a chilling reminder of the desperate situation some individuals face, and the devastating consequences of their choices. While you're here, check out our other video of a teen mother who tried to escape responsibility as a new parent, all caught on CCTV footage, and consider subscribing to stay updated.